Satoh Beaver, small tractor. It's from the late 1970s, around 78 or so. In the early 70s and 60s and maybe the 50s, Satoh made tractors with diesel and with gasoline engines, the Mazda gasoline. In the late 70s, they decided to go with this Mitsubishi two-banger right here. Underneath that valve cover right there is two rocker arms from them. Overhead valve diesel engine, Mitsubishi diesel. It's a good little tractor. I've had it for about 20 years. The only maintenance I've ever done on it was I changed the oil about 3 or 4 times. Haven't done anything else. Oh, I sharpened the mower blade. Back there is a mower deck. Looks like a brush hog, but it's not. It's a finished mower. Every year or two I got to sharpen the blades. Does a really great job. It's 48 inch. I got dual tires in the back because I got a lot of hills and I don't want to tip the tractor sideways on these hills, especially when, you know, you got a rock on one tire and a gopher hole on the other and the whole thing flips over and you die. I can't do much about tipping backwards. I just want to be careful going up hills. I don't want to tip it going sideways. So I got dualies on the back. It's 4-wheel drive. Keep it in 4-wheel drive all the time. It's got a little battery. Those two metal lines are the diesel under pressure, and that line there is an overflow diesel going back to the tank. It's got a tank about 5 gallons maybe. Air filter. I've never even looked at that. Radiator, headlights, which don't work. I'm not really going to be using headlights. Got a horn. No horn. It's got a bonnet, which I'm not using now because in the summertime it tends to sometimes overheat after several hours of using it on a hot day. It runs a lot cooler when you take the hood off. It's a bonnet. There's a hood. Starter motor, solenoid, alternator. It's a Satoh 370D. The D stands for 4-wheel drive. I would think diesel should stand for diesel, but they figured if D is, you know, D is the 4th letter of the alphabet. 4-wheel drive. I haven't changed the radiator fluid in 20 years either. That's going to be good. That's going to be going next. There's the muffler. Radiator hose coming over. Well, that's the air hose. Right under here. This is the valve cover. Have never taken that off yet. Exhaust manifold. That looks down there like the fuel pump. Since it's, well, yeah, that's the fuel pump because there's the fuel tank. Okay, there's the fuel tank. Line goes to the pump, and from the pump it goes to this thing over here, which separates it into the, well, that's probably the fuel injector rail of some sort. Sends it off to those two, which you already saw. Go around, they go around the front here. Well, you're aware. Those two went up over here, send it to the fuel injectors. And what about what we got down here? Today's the day that I do the first real maintenance on this thing in 20 years. I'm going to change the hydraulic fluid. The hydraulic fluid is in the gear case. This rubber thing here, it's just a little rubber cap. It comes right off with the bare hand. That's where you put in 2.5 gallons of hydraulic fluid. The hydraulic fluid is basic 80 weight grease. I got some 90 weight, 2 gallons of 80 weight grease. Walmart. And some 90 weight, which is probably about the same. We use that in cars in the rear end. That'll be enough to change the... Okay, what we got here? This is the hydraulic pump. There's the engine. This is where you have the... Well, you change the engine oil. Obviously, I'm not going to teach you how to change the engine oil. If you don't know how to change the engine oil, you're an idiot and you shouldn't be watching this video. But just so you'll know, there's... Down under here, there's a drain plug for the engine. Oil pan. Here's where you put the oil in. There's a dipstick on the end of that cap, and here's the engine oil filter. Now, why is the engine oil filter on the exact same piece as the hydraulic pump? At first, I thought maybe the hydraulic pump works on the engine oil from the engine, kind of like the old fluid clutch 1950 Dodge Coronet that I used to have. The fluid clutch works off engine oil from the engine. But it's not. The engine oil pump runs off the same gear off the camshaft as the hydraulic pump. The hydraulic pump, it pumps hydraulic pressure out this thin line. This thin line goes down, wraps around there, goes back under the seat. You lift the seat, well, lift the seat from the front. And you can see it's kind of underneath all this grass clippings. There's the line right there. See it underneath all that grass clip. The line goes to the hydraulic cylinder and piston in the back to raise and lower this and this. That's all it does. I mean, it would do more if I had different implements in the back, but all that hydraulic does is raise and lower the mower deck. Big whoop. There's the seat back. Here's the control for the mower deck. Here's the mower. When the engine is running, you can raise it. When the engine is off, you can lower it. And when you lower it, it pushes hydraulic fluid back into the transmission, which is the 8-speed. Well, it is 8-speed. You got 1, 2, and 3, and reverse, and you got 4, 5, and 6, and fast reverse. And over there, that turns the PTO into different gears. Somewhere around here, well, this is a differential lock, which I don't. Well, it's actually broken. It doesn't work. The differential lock, I don't need it. There's no mud around here. The brakes, there's a right brake and they're locked together. But there's a right brake and the left brake. In case you're on a big field and, I don't know, you can brake. When you lock them together, they brake both wheels at the same time. So that's good enough. So that's what, the skinny line goes to the hydraulic, well, it's the hydraulic pump. The skinny line goes to the hydraulic, the opposite of pump, to the whatever it's called. This big hose here, well, it sucked. The pump presses out, so it has to suck in on the big line. The sucking of the big line goes to the bottom of that, and there's a big filter on the bottom of that, which I got to change the filter. See, there's the skinny line of its pressure going out back to the mower deck, and the big line sucks hydraulic fluid from the pan at the bottom of the transmission, bringing it back to the big line on top, bringing it back to the pump. Pumps it out, sucks it in. I'm going to put a big, it's 2.5 gallons. I'm going to put a big pan underneath here. I'll show you how. I didn't know where to drain it from until I finally got the owner's manual. I've never had the owner's manual. Really weird how you get the hydraulic fluid out of that. And after draining it all out, I'll change the filter or clean the filter. Put it back in and put all the fluid back into this rubber thing. This rubber thing right here. You just, well, see that? Every once in a while I put some fluid in there. That's all it is. Well, okay. I'm going to start doing that now and get back to you. This here is the throttle. This is a low idle, faster idle, real fast. And when you want to stop it, you press it all the way up, turn the key to the off position, and then you press more and boop, that shuts it off. Otherwise it's going to just diesel forever. But this right here is a positive. Or you can put it in gear and pop the clutch and make it stop. And you got to leave this in the up position, because if you leave it like this, it's got to be in the on position the whole time you're using it, so it charges the battery. But when you stop, if you leave it in that on position, you'll kill the battery, because there's no voltage regulator in this thing. You got to go like this and take the key or not take the key. But it's got to be up, otherwise you kill the battery. Real quickly, actually. There's no fuel tank gauge. I use a stick, a paint stirring stick, and this here, it's a brush from a PVC glue. All right, I'm gonna change the hydraulic fluid. I'm gonna change the front axle fluid, the front final drive fluid, and the radiator. I'm going to change the radiator. That hasn't been changed since I've owned this thing. I just keep adding fluid to it if it needs it. Never bothered to drain it. And if I go crazy, I might even open up the air filter and see how that looks. What else? Oh! Why not? Since we're going hog wild crazy here, why not take the fuel filter out and see what I can do? Where would I get a new fuel filter? Take it out, clean it with soap and water maybe, and just put it back. Who knows? I've never had to do any maintenance on this thing. I think one time one of these two return lines broke. So I went to the hardware store and I got some new lines. Fuel lines. That's all. I mean, this is like maintenance free. Or it's repair free. It's only maintenance free because I don't ever do any maintenance. About time. I bought this thing back in 1998 and now it's 2023. That's 25 years I've had this freaking thing. I don't even know where the damn clutch is. Brakes, I don't repair them. I don't fix the brakes. All I've done too is put dualies on, sharpen the mower blade, and change the oil a couple of times. And there you have it. Satoh Beaver with dualies. I used to have a big weight in the front. That fell off. Don't need it. Don't bother with that 105-year-old car back there. You think that thing is old? How about a 105-year-old Buick? That's got some serious... ...1917 Buick E49. Runs like a top. As you can see, the owner's manual tells you that the drain plugs in the transmission, there's two little bolts that you take out right down at the bottom of the pan there. They're not drain pans. You would never know unless you knew what you're looking at. I'm going to try and find those 2 holes and drain the 2.5 gallons of hydraulic fluid out of that gear case. Well, it's not like the picture at all. It's got one drain plug in the middle, on the other side, and the front. The drain plug is on the front, and it is like a little pan. The illustration showed no oil pan for the hydraulic oil at all. And what's coming out weird is it's milky. That's the color. Milky is the color of regular tractor hydraulic fluid. This is supposed to be 90 weight and 80 weight crankcase. Differential gear case stuff. That's that milky white stuff coming out. But it's really thick. It's going to take an hour for it to come out, so I'm just going to put it here and get back to you. Okay, I said before that it's the front of this is the oil pan. It's not even a pan. It's very different from the illustration. I guess maybe because this is 4-wheel drive and the illustration is for 2-wheel drive. I don't know, but the drain plug is in the back. My finger is on the drain plug back there, and this is the front. This is the left. And on the left side of the vehicle is a hydraulic fluid filter. It's back there. I'm going to put this wrench on one of the bolts. That's one bolt. It's a 12 millimeter wrench. 12 millimeter there with this big round thing in the middle. Apparently, there is some kind of a hydraulic fluid filter in there, according to all the illustrations. It's on the left side. It's the opposite side from where the hydraulic line is. Okay? This is facing forward. That's the back. 24 hours later, got 2.5 gallons of stuff out of it. I'm going to put the plug back in, such a little plug. There's an illustration right on the tractor that shows a picture of the filter. You take the 2 nuts off of that thing, there's a filter. And it's the same as the illustration in the manual. Somehow there's this thing here with a filter on the end that goes into the tractor. I just took the 2 nuts off, and let's see if I can get this thing out of here. There it is. Judging by how flush it was against the body and how little leakage there was around it, my guess is that this has never been changed since 1978. There it is. Look at that. Dirty old oil filter. Oh, it won't come out all the way. It's not coming out. It's bumping against this linkage here. It's bumping against this linkage from... This is the brake, the left brake. Won't come out all the way. Alright, there it is. It's pretty dirty. Okay, after messing around with the brake linkage and everything, I've decided I can't get it out without removing the brakes, which I'm not going to do. So I'm going to wipe that off with some paper towels, spray it a few times with WD-40, wipe that off 3 or 4 times until it's all clean, and then just put it back in. That's good enough, because it will not come out. It's too long. It bumps into the brake linkage. I got the brakes on lock, and that still doesn't move far enough forward. Can't do it. No can do. That means this thing has never been cleaned since 1978. Boys and girls. And it looks pretty good. Okay. And there it is. Clean as a whistle. Put it right back in. Put the bolts in. Next. According to the instructions, there's a bolt down here. Right there, apparently. Oh, thanks. There it goes. You're supposed to take that bolt out and put oil in until the oil starts leaking out that bolt hole. That tells you when it's full. I'm not going to do that. I know it takes 2.5 gallons, so I'm just going to put 2.5 gallons in. That's it. And there you go. 2.5 gallons of 80 weight gear oil. And there's no differential in the back. transmission goes right to the two rear wheels. But it's four-wheel drive, so there is a differential in the front. And there's a final drive in the front on each wheel. According to this, you gotta find a drain plug for the differential and an oil filler plug. That's cool. And a small, tiny one for the front, which I'm gonna do also. I'm in the front of the tractor now. There's your fill bolt. There's a drain bolt. The biggest I have is 21 millimeters, and it ain't big enough. So I gotta go off and find a bigger wrench somewhere. And I'm not gonna show you this because it's just you drain out the oil and you fill it up there. And there's a drain plug in the wheel down here. And it doesn't take a genius to figure out. You drain that according to the illustration. There's a drain plug on the bottom, down there, apparently. There's no plug there. Huh. Oh, here. And the fill plug is in the backside. My balls are pretty smooth. Everything looks good. All right.